When I look in your eyes, I see just the self, and I realize that when I honor you, I'm honoring self. But I still haven't learned to honor the self in everyone. I can honor it in you, but I still make comparisons and judgments of others. I don't see the self in everyone.
First, you have to see the self within you, then within me, and then everywhere else.
But when I look in other people's eyes, I can't see it so clearly.
First, see the self within you, then you will see that the self in you is not other than the self in me. It is the same self. Then you perceive that the same self in you, in me, is everywhere else, and self alone is that self. There is nothing apart from the self. This experience will surely get you to stick to self alone. Nothing else ever existed at all.
But
Okay, let's tackle it another way. When you see the self, don't see the not self at the same time. If you don't see the not self here and there and everywhere, what will you see?
The self?
Only the self everywhere. The not self doesn't exist, and the self is not absent at all. So you will see self everywhere. When I say everywhere, it is nowhere. Nowhere itself. Because no distance is involved. No here and somewhere. Self alone is total awareness of self. And all those waves and eddies and drops and bubbles, all are just the ocean. So, according to your question, I see the ocean. In saying, I see the ocean within myself, but I do not see the waves or other eddies, tides, bubbles. There I do not see. So you have to see first the ocean within the ocean, self within the self, and this will include everything else. You will contain everything. The self contains everything. There is nothing apart from it. This is why you call it emptiness. There is nothing beyond emptiness. All is empty. Nothing ever exists. And when you see something existing, it is not other than you. So whenever there is an idea or concept of duality, of something else, there is confusion there about this. There is no duality at all. Oneness and wholeness is all. If we accept duality, then there must be frontiers between the two, and then it cannot be limitless. There will be a division between duality and union, so there cannot be any divisions or frontiers in limitless reality or in truth or emptiness. There are no frontiers, so this is seeing self everywhere.
I have just come from a very busy culture and a very busy life in San Francisco. A life and culture filled with stress, noise, choices, confusion, and so much doing and activity. Suddenly I come here and suddenly there is just self. Everything turns back to the self. It is so simple. I am struck by the simplicity of your guidance. Just immediately, so simple. Just pay attention to the self. How will it be when I go back to San Francisco?
Simplicity will not be lost. You cannot lose simplicity. Simplicity is nature.
We forget that.
It will not forget you. You may forget her, but she will not forget you. She is very chaste.
I will try to remember that.
It is the easiest and simplest of everything that you do. Even easier than breathing. Easier than the breath that you inhale or exhale. For here you are neither to inhale nor to exhale. Where does the inhalation and exhalation take place? You inhale and it stops. You exhale and it stops. And there, this is what you are. In between the inhaling and exhaling. Not even the effort to inhale or to exhale is needed. Or from where does thought arise? There must be some activity for the thought to arise and go somewhere. But the source doesn't go, doesn't come. It is as it is. How simple it is. I have to laugh sometimes because I see fish in the river crying. I am thirsty. I want enlightenment. It's the same thing. near and easy you don't pay any attention to. What is difficult and far, the moon, Mount Everest, you are attentive to. No one has arrived at the self this way.
Just as a bird leaves no trace in the sky as it flies, the true teaching leaves no trace in memory. The teaching must have no teacher and no student. If the teaching comes from past or memory or concept, it is preaching, not teaching. This teaching never was, it never will be, and it never is.